In this video, I'm going to share the #1 mistake that real estate investors make time and time again. And this is not just a small, tiny little mistake that they make and they can get over it. This is a massive mistake with just a trail of destruction that follows behind it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at a real life example. I'm going to look at this property right here. This one is an off-market deal for sale. Here we go. Let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. I'm just going to go over the numbers for this property specifically. Now, this was, again, a document sent to me and saying, hey, are any of your investors interested in buying this? And I will show you what the numbers look like. And then we're just going to really compare them to reality. And this is the big mistake. The big mistake is that people don't really look at reality. They just look at the spreadsheet. So we're going to look at both. And I'm going to talk you through why people keep making this mistake and really the reason you never want to make this mistake. You never, ever want to fall prey to this. And so let's go ahead. Let's look at it. I mean, there's the address. It's here in Birmingham, but we're going to look at the spreadsheet. We're going to go over the numbers. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so here we are. We've pulled up this property. This is the one that was sent to me by a turnkey provider. And they're asking us to send it out to people. Hey, do we know anybody who's interested in this house? And so at first glance, if I'm looking at their information, if I'm looking at their spreadsheets, if I believe everything that they say, then, hey, doesn't look like a bad deal. Let's take a look, and then we'll compare it to what I know is probably reality. And so this is the big mistake I see people do is they're not looking at reality. They're just looking at these spreadsheets. And which is why if you're an investor, you need somebody boots on the ground who's going to tell you what it really should rent for, what it really, what the surrounding neighborhood is like. What about the appreciation numbers? Let's look and see what they're saying. Let's just look at an overview first. So here we have the purchase price, $128. We already know it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house built in 1955. Just know that the bedroom and the extra bath were add-ons, not a big deal in my opinion. They have closing costs, so they have everything. Essentially, they're saying you're going to put down 30 grand is what they have. And so if we went over here, you can see they're also, the way they're looking at the loan is they're looking at a 30-year, 6.25% interest. This really all depends on when you're watching this video, right? So this could be, you could be watching it 2 years from now, 3 years. Who knows what interest rates are going to be? Change that if you want to. But your monthly payment's $635. Now, what other kind of assumptions are they going to make? Well, we're going to look at some of these. Here we are. The gross rental income is $1,250 a month, so $15,000 for the year. They have vacancy and credits at $450. So they're showing that cash flow is $2,170. So it's a little bit less than $200 a month. It's around $180 a month. And so initially, if you're looking at that, you're thinking, hey, as long as you have the cash, 30 grand, and you put that in, your cash flow should be, $2,170. Now, your cash on cash return on this is going to be less than 10%, which we like to say it should be around 10%. But for this example, that's okay. This is what they say. Now, let's take a look. Just make sure that we're looking at the right property. This is the property. And if I want to look at pictures, it does look like it's been rehabbed. I think this looks good. Kitchen actually looks pretty decent. Flooring's okay. Popcorn ceilings, can't really do anything about that. I don't think you should. It'd be a waste of money. It's not necessary in these rental houses. And so, yeah, I think this is pretty decent. I mean, there's the bathtub. And here's the extra room that they made. You can see cinder block walls. Flooring is good, but they probably made this out of like a carport. I mean, a carport or a garage or a basement. And there's the bathroom they stuck in there, which is fine. See, there's the basement. They probably put the room over here off to the side. So that's it. This is what you would be going by. And I do want to show you some things that I think are a little bit misleading. This projected sale price. So if you were an investor and you were looking at this you're looking at this projected sale price, you would probably be going, wow, this is incredible. This is a great deal. I need to buy this. If you're okay with the cash flow, because look at what they projected over the years for this property to appreciate at. I mean, in just 7 short years, it's $251,000, and you paid, $130 for it. Man, you're going to kill it. You would just kill this, and it's not right. It's not right. And so I'm going to show you the reason why it's not right. If I were to go back here to this property, which I think the property looks fine, it's been rehabbed, I would just want to know where it is. And so I see Eastlake. I like Eastlake. However, what you're looking at, this property is in North Eastlake, and North Eastlake is not like South Eastlake. South Eastlake, over the past 5 to 10 years, has exploded. And there's retail deals up there that are $300,000. There's great rentals up there. There's home ownership. So it's a great mix of, it's just an area that's been revitalized. Northeast Lake is not that way. You come down the hill, you cross the interstate, and it's not at all like this. And you should not expect those types of returns. You should not expect 2% increase in rent every single year, which they have in their projections. You shouldn't include massive appreciation for this property, which they have in their numbers. Don't buy that. This is why it's so important to do your homework. Receiving a spreadsheet, everything looks good. Just understand that what turnkey providers and wholesalers want to do is they want to sell property. That's what they're in the business for. And there's nothing wrong with that. To me, if I were looking at this deal, knowing what I know, this might be a good place to start negotiating from if I want this property. So how should we look at this property? Well, we need to look at a couple more assumptions over here. They have insurance at $750, taxes $1,738. I think their repairs are a little bit light. They're at 5% of the annual gross income. I think they need to be more than that. So let's go over to our rental property calculator, which you can download a copy of this right in the link below. It's free. Just make a copy. You'll get it, download it. You can use it. I plugged in all the numbers. All of these numbers are the same. Again, cash invested right at $30,000. And then the principal amount, I kept the interest rate, everything the same. But let's go to our expenses. You have vacancy at 5%. That's okay. I think that's probably all right at 5%. So go down here to property taxes. I think the insurance might be a little bit more for this property. I'm not 100% sure, but it might be a little bit more. We all know that insurance has gone up over the past few years. Management fee is going to stay the same, around 10%. And then maintenance reserve, we're going to say 10%. We're going to say, hey, you need to be setting aside 10% for regular maintenance, even though it's been rehabbed. But then what you also want to do is, like, what if you don't spend that $1,500 on that repairs that year? That's okay. At some point, you're going to need to replace the HVAC. You're going to need to replace the roof. You're going to need to replace the hot water heater. These are CapEx expenditures. You want to be more conservative on this. You don't want to try to cut the corners and just say, hey, I just think I'm going to dodge a bullet this year. It's okay. I'm going to buy this property. That's not what you want to do. So when we look at total expenses, we're looking at $13,000. If we come back up here, what we see is our monthly cash flow is $95 a month. Now, this is cutting it close. This is cutting it close. What you really want to be is you want to be 100 minimum, and then you want to be above that. 200 and above is good. You definitely don't want to stick around $95, because what happens if you have that hot water heater that goes out on you? Well, that's an $800 to $1,000 fix. There goes your cash flow for the year. All right, so you got to be careful in buying these properties. If I were coming out down here in this calculator, you can see, hey, here's month by month what you should be looking at. This is actually should be 10%. I'm going to change that. But other than that, this is all looks right. And so the question is, are you okay in this scenario Are you okay with less than 10% cash on cash return and less than $100 of cash flow? This is the way you should be thinking about this, especially when you consider it's not in the best part of Eastlake. It's, there's parts of Eastlake that are Class C neighborhood areas, which are great. We like Class C neighborhood, which is middle of the road working class. Class A would be your nicest neighborhoods in your city, and then Class B is upper middle class, and then Class C is like working class. But when you get into North Eastlake, you're really kind of venturing into Class D, some of it Class D neighborhoods. So knowing all this, it might make your decision change. You might think twice and say, you know what, maybe this isn't the best deal for me. Let me go on and look at something else. Now, I want to tell you just a quick story. Matthew Whitaker and I were we were in the office, and we had some investors come in town from Reno, Nevada, and they had told us they had around $800,000 to invest in Birmingham in single family residential. And they had been out all day with a turnkey provider and looked at a bunch of properties. And their final part of their due diligence was to come and sit down with a local property manager who could tell them what was going on and are these good deals or not, which, by the way, was a very smart idea. So we sat down that afternoon, and they slid across the table a piece of paper with all the list of the properties on it. And we just sat there and went one by one through those properties. And we told them what they should expect and what they could expect. And some of them were like D- areas. And we were just very, very upfront and truthful with them. And the last thing that we told them, the very last thing that we told them was, we believe it would be better if you took your money back to Reno, started over, and found some different properties. Like, honestly, we love Birmingham. We're in great investor-friendly markets: Jackson, Mississippi, Chattanooga, Detroit, Cleveland, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. We're in some great investor-friendly markets. However, they're only great if you're buying the right properties. So the biggest mistake we see people do, and we've seen people lose everything, is buy properties based on a bad spreadsheet. Now, I'm not saying this spreadsheet was horrible that they presented to us, but it wasn't 100% accurate. And so what you want to do is you want to be careful to do your homework, understand a spreadsheet is just a spreadsheet, but you need to start plugging in the missing pieces. And the way you do that is with great partners on the ground, whether it be property managers like Evernest, or whether it be, an investor-friendly agent that can help you along the way, or maybe it's somebody else who lives in another real estate professional who lives in the city. Maybe find a great contractor who can go out and give you the truth about the repairs or whatever. Just want to encourage you, highly important that you do your homework, because at the end of the day, if you brought us this property and you were expecting, hey, I should be getting $200 a month or almost $200 a month cash flow, and it didn't turn out that way, then really it starts to look like we're the bad guy, when really you should have probably done a little bit more homework, maybe negotiated the deal a little bit differently if you still wanted to buy it. So that's all we wanted to say. That's why I did this, because this is a problem I see happen all the time, a huge mistake investors make. If there's any way that we can help you look at deals, understand the lay of the land, is a property a really good property or not, don't hesitate to reach out to us. The link to our website is below. We're in over 30 markets nationwide. And if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and we're going to be back. We're going to keep providing investor-friendly content just like this, because we want to see you make the best decisions and ultimately succeed in your real estate goal, career, whatever you're trying to do in real estate. All right, that's it. We'll be back with more real estate videos in the future.